Hello, everyone. Tori McElhaney here, and I'm joined by Dave Archer and someone very, very special. Ray Buchanan is joining.
I'm not special?
You are special. I'm sorry. You're also special. You're my partner in crime today, and he's our special guest. So that's what we're doing.
What's going on?
Now, here's the lay of the land of what we're going to be doing today. We are going back in time to January 17th, 1999, to the 1998 NFC Championship. Arguably one of the most memorable championship games in NFL history, I would say. And Ray Buchanan, you were there. You were on the field. You're a big part of that game. And we're actually going to go through and watch the first half with you. Once we're done with the first half, we're actually going to get Jamal Anderson in here to go over the second half with us. But before we do all that, let's kind of set the stage a little bit. You guys are coming into this game. It's up in the Metrodome. And you are, honestly, y'all aren't the favored team to win.
Right.
I believe the Vikings were an 11-point favorite. Everybody kind of was calling this team unstoppable. They hadn't lost at home.
They had been.
They had been unstoppable.
Unstoppable the whole time.
So take us back to the week or the weeks kind of leading up to this game and what it felt like to be a part of this Falcons team as you're prepping and getting ready to go up to the Metrodome.
Well, I think we were the Roger Dangerfields of the league at that particular time. Nobody thought about the Atlanta Falcons, let alone making it to the playoffs, but to go that far. But I think the previous year, I think that we had a pretty good run the last half of the season. So we were sort of just building off of that. We had a great coach, great coaching staff, great players that actually got along. But what rolled into that 98 season was confidence. And it was like we already had the confidence. And players knew their role, and we had a lot of different characters, fun guys that knew how to play in between the white lines and get their job done. And we played disciplined football, that year. We barely had a lot of penalties.
Right.
And rolling over into the postseason, I think our confidence really started to kick in because we had this battle with the 49ers. And we beat the 49ers like twice. They won the first game that year, but then the second game, I think they had to come to us, and we handed it to them.
Yeah.
And we were feeling pretty good about beating, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Terrell Owens, and gang. So we had to play them again in the playoffs. And we had to get to this point. Just to get to that point.
Yeah.
And, it was a pretty tough game, but we had the confidence going into that game. So leading into that Minnesota game, we were already, we knew we didn't have the respect from the national media. We didn't have the respect from Minnesota. They had a lot of guys that actually talked deservedly. When you're going against Randy Moss, the Randall Cunningham,
right.
Chris Carter's, Rod Smith. You had a lot of good players and a defense that we were going up against, but we wanted to literally take it to them so bad. We wanted to show the world, not that we're about to beat this team, but we believe going into that week that we're about to not only beat them, but we're going to talk about it before we even get there. And a lot of people were shocked how confident we were, talking in the paper, talking in the news, talking on television about what we were going to do, even though we were 11-point underdogs. We thought that was disrespectful, especially after what type of season that we were actually having.
Yeah.
So that was
Ray, take me through the night before, because I've sat in those meeting rooms when you're being disrespected nationally, maybe in the city, the crowd, you guys getting off the bus. What are you doing here? Our team's 15-1. We're going to walk into the Super Bowl. Did we get any antics? Were there any fire up moments?
Yeah. What was going on that night?
Yeah. So, we had a lot of team leaders, and it was different guys that actually spoke before big games. And we didn't really want to change too much, and we didn't want to psych ourselves out because we were already at a place comfortably in our head because we studied and prepared for those moments. We didn't want to change up much, but the night before is a team meeting, of course, and you got guys like Chuck Smith, standing up talking about hey, we deserve to be here. Let's get let's rile it up. Bob Whitfield, we call it Big Bob. His voice, he had the high pitched voice, and we couldn't know how to take this dude serious sometimes when Bob was talking. But you had guys that was just basically talking. We been here. Let's not treat this game like any other game. The world is against us. It's us against the world. Nobody's expecting us to even be able to compete with Minnesota, but let's go out there and take respect like we've done all year, because there was so many games throughout that year that we were underdogs.
Right.
And we, week by week, we like, wow, what do we have to prove? We done proved to get here to the NFC Championship. Yeah. What else do we have to prove besides go out here and beat these guys in the mouth and get, try to take the respect back? The night before, we slept like babies. Like, a lot of people thought that we were nervous. A lot of people thought that we might have changed things that we done, previously, but we didn't change a thing. It was the confidence that we had, leading up into that game. I'm gonna let you know, I slept good. And people were like, Ray, you got Randy Moss this week. Are you nervous? I kept hearing. I'm like, dude, have y'all seen me play this whole year?
I'm fine.
I'm like,
it'll be okay.
And I wasn't being arrogant. I was like, I knew what I can do. Other players knew what they can do. We like, man, we supposed to be here. We deserve to be here. But it was kind of hard to get the respect from everybody. We didn't have anything to do but prove it, and we had to live through that all the way up until we snapped the ball that next evening.
Yeah. The respect, though, is coming because we've got 4 quarters and an overtime to watch. Now, are you guys ready to jump into this?
Let's watch some football.
Let's do it.
Let's do some football.
Let's go back.
All right. Here we go.
Let's kick this bad boy off, all right?
Hey, let's kick it off. And a lot of people don't give Tim Dwight, whenever he touched the ball, you just never know if he was actually going to break. This kid was so fast coming out of Iowa. Little short, little hobbit. He was only like 5'8".
I was about to say, he's just...
Did you call him a hobbit?
He was
call him a hobbit.
He was like little. We used to call him because his hairline was he had a Bruce Willis hairline, but he was so fast.
Oh my gosh.
I thought what was so cool about this opening drive, Ray, was how sharp Chandler was to start the game. He went 4 for 5 in the opening drive, and you're going to see it unfold here. A lot of play action early in the football game. Obviously, this team was up to stop Jamal. They had 8-man box most of the game. And Jamal had a tough time affecting the game in the run game, but he affected it in a lot of other ways. We'll see that throughout the game. But as you watch this unfold, what are you thinking on the defense, on the sideline? You guys are waiting for your opportunity. You had to wait a long time. This is a hell of an opening drive.
Yeah, waiting was kind of hard. Everybody was a little bit antsy. We wanted to get out there on the football field, and we wanted to see how that our offense actually maturated up against their defense. So a lot of us wasn't even sitting on the bench. We were literally sitting on the side. I was probably standing next to Dan. We was calling plays. But, by them having to stack the box to stop the run, because, Jamal Anderson, of course, led the league when it came to carries that year.
Right.
We knew that they were going to load the box, and that would open it up for the outside guys with Tony Martin. And that was risky because Tony was fast. Terrence Mathis was the go-to guy when it came to short passes.
Oof.
And that was a great catch.
Look at that one.
He set the tone.
I know, right?
T-Matt reels it in, baby.
Were you on the sideline right there?
Yeah, I was definitely on the sideline. T-Mac, I used to go against T-Mac in practice a lot. And T-Mac was so deceptive when it came to, you didn't know if he was going to go route or a shorter route. But when he caught a one-handed catch, I was like, you know what? We favored already. One-handed. Look at T-Mac. Look at his catch.
The crazy part about this game is there was so much conversation that I remember watching the game about Moss and Carter. You've got 2 receivers that went for 1,100-plus yards.
Right.
T-Mac had 11 touchdown receptions. Tony had 6. So they were kind of the equal of what the other guys were. So you had been facing this in practice all year long, right?
Yep, these guys right now, I already knew that Tony was a good receiver. Chandler was throwing the ball, with the play action pass. Chandler had that ball out. He knew right where they were going to be all the time before they even came out of the break. So
and he was zipping it to him this game.
He was zipping it. He was fired. Like Art said, it was like he went 4 for 5 in that opening drive. And I think Minnesota had the thing that they wanted to stop the run.
Right.
And they were giving up little short passes on the outside. Yeah. So it actually helped out. We had a lot of time just sitting on the sideline, just resting, like getting fired up about it.
This was such a fired up venue, and we talked about that, and looked at, and they were fired up there. Give me an idea what this drive is kind of doing to the crowd now.
Yeah, well, they were loud. They were loud in the very beginning of the game, throughout the whole, literally pregame warm-up. The fans were loud. They had cheating boxes. I want to say they had big old speakers. I've never been in the stadium ever besides Kansas City Chiefs where it was that loud. It was rocking so loud. And when the offense is out there on the football, the football field, the defense actually get the 12-man participation, so they were loud. So we was just letting the air out of the fans. They
Great
couldn't
route
believe.
here by Jamal on that
Look
angle
at Jam.
route.
Nice little F angle route. Jam.
And his ability to affect the game, Ray. Talk about that ability. That,
man, there's
he was
the
such
dirty
a great
bird.
rusher. But
Yeah,
what a
it
great
is.
catch. There's the dirty bird.
Yeah.
Jamal's version of the dirty bird.
People don't give Jam a lot of respect as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He was that go-to guy. Maybe that after that third down check for Chandler and hit Jamal out of the backfield, and people didn't want to hit Jamal. Jamal was just that big, and by him running the F angle route here and then having an opportunity to score and actually get the dance first, because they kept saying, the Minnesota Vikings said they're not going to be doing the Dirty Bird dance here in this stadium. They literally were saying that. Jam took that.
That didn't take very long to get that
That didn't
done,
take
did it?
long for
One
the first drive.
Yeah.
12 plays, 76 yards, and 6 minutes, 39 seconds off
Amazing.
the clock. Hell of a drive.
Now, y'all are about to come out here. This defense is kind of take us into this moment once we get through this kickoff. But what was the game plan going in to face up against Randy Moss?
So we had this thing where previous the game before this one, I would either I would cover Jerry Rice and we would double T.O. or it was vice versa. I would cover T.O. with double Jerry. This game we had coming out in the first half, they said that I was going to cover Chris Carter,
Right.
and we're going to double Randy Moss. So that's what we were going to do. We're going to double Randy Moss. We just got to stop the run. We told Jesse and the boys up front, these all yours, and I'm going to stay over the top.
This was
for
a
the most
team, the two outside receivers. There's Moss with his first catch of the game. He and Carter both had over 1,000 yards receiving. What do you remember about it? 29 touchdowns between the two of them.
It was like watching a horror flick. Like literally, when you look at the film, like look at the film. My defensive back coach, I've never seen him get out of character throughout the whole year, but he was nervous. His bottom lip was shaking, and he didn't know how to act. I'm like, we let's calm down, coach. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Rich Brooks had a pretty good, cool, calm, and collective spirit about himself, but we were all amped up, ready to play. I couldn't wait to face these guys. But when you looked at the film and how fast they were scoring and who they were scoring on that year, it was like embarrassing for a lot of those guys. I was like, and we didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want to be embarrassed, and and there
you are.
Look at him. Look at that
Young
young
buck.
face. Look at that young
I couldn't
face.
wait. I didn't know no better. I was like, where you at, Randy? I know certain plays that I
Get
had to
ready for
cover.
this play
I know,
now.
this
Talk me
is-
through this play now.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Remember this play?
It must be the PI.
It sure is. Sure is.
It must be. Now, people didn't realize how fast I was. I didn't realize how fast this dude was until he was running, but they went up top. Now, I was saying Randy was pulling me right here. I was like, yo, he's pulling me.
And you're mad.
I'm like, he can't just
Mad.
pull me, pull my jersey, and they didn't care anything. They was like, whatever, 34.
We're
Flags on
going to
you.
get another look at it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get another look at it here. And I agree
I
with you,
should've-
Ray. I think that
I should have turned around a little bit earlier, but
he got the
Hindsight's
He was a beneficiary of an underthrow, right? That was one of
Right.
those deals where it's tough on a DB, right?
it was tough on the DB. And what we did was during this whole week, they said don't look back for the ball unless you are in phase. It's called being in phase. So I figured I was in phase, but he kept pushing me back and pulling me, and then he eventually, got the flag. Now, this could have went either way, but at that time, a home field advantage, they're going to give it to Randy.
Yeah.
But I'd rather get the flag.
All right,
Then
tell me
let this dude
how
catch a deep ball on
irritated. Tell me how irritated you were with this.
Okay. All right.
This one right here.
Now, this right here was sickening. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. We've been going over the same play. We knew when they get a little bit inside the 40-yard line, they go up top. It was so consistent. And we double-teamed them. That was literally a double. We had a double team over there. So Michael Booker happened to be on that side, and I want to say it was Will White. But one of the safeties over there. But I didn't know how he got past both of them. And look, here go Booker. Look, Book took off even earlier. Turn
You're
around, Book.
sticking
Run,
something.
Book. Book, we've been telling you the whole week. Look at Eugene. Eugene right there. I'm like,
Like, what are you doing, man?
I ain't gonna lie. I was mad. I didn't want to let Randy get in the end zone for nothing.
Well, here's the thing is, we talk about Randy Moss a lot in this very first drive for Minnesota, but y'all actually held him after, I want to say, through the second and third quarter. I don't think he had very many catches at all until the very end of this game. What adjustments did y'all make as y'all kind of were as the game went on and you kind of evolved what y'all were doing?
It didn't take long.
Yeah.
I got up in Rich Brooks, our defensive coordinator, honestly, and I was like, Rich, it's not working. I want to be on Randy. They starting to understand what we were doing with me being on Chris throughout the game, but I need to be on him in certain downs and certain situations. But you got to understand, too, Minnesota has never been in a game besides the Tampa game that year where they've actually knew how to play or call plays throughout that year. They've never been in a tough battle. It was always blowing out, and it was easy to make their play calls. So we got into a dogfight. But to make that adjustment that we actually did by me covering Randy, I guess I'm not trying to take credit for it, but I do say it made us just a little bit more competitive because
we'll see it play out.
Yeah,
you made some plays on him. There's no question about that.
Yeah, if he's beating a double team, I'm like, if he's beating a double team, it doesn't even matter. Now, this was a fluke play.
Man, that AstroTurf is another player in this game.
Harold Green.
Talk about now sudden change for you guys. You guys just gave up a touchdown.
Yep.
And now, boom, you're right back on the field. What's the mindset now as you try to come out and shut them down?
Now, you see, I'm over there covering Randy now, but we sitting up here like we seen this team after turnovers score right away.
Yeah.
So we like, that's one thing we can't just give it up.
Look at him taking a shot at you.
Look, there you are.
Running the best with him. Turn around.
Oh!
What do you think?
Yeah.
What'd you say to him right there?
What'd you say? What do you got?
Do you remember?
I told you, because I was talking to him before the play. I said, you ain't catching nothing, man. I know you running deep. I literally knew. I just told him that he was running deep, and I was prepared for it.
Well, and you said they take shots. They led the league that year in points off turnovers.
Yep.
They had 155 points off turnovers. He's number one in the National Football League.
And we knew every time after that turnover, a lot of time they was going to take a shot.
Yep.
They're going to take a shot. And they was pretty successful. I ain't going to lie. These were – and if you take away Randy Moss and let him catch shorter passes, they can't hurt you. We knew that the deeper balls could.
Right.
And they're going to take their shots. But, of course, they had when you got – Rod Smith, they were like people didn't talk about the running game that they actually had. Great player, and how well they were running the football. They were running the football well too. So Jesse Tuggle, Cornelius Bennett, and a lot of those guys up front, Shane Dronette, Travis Hall, they had their work cut out for them to stop the run.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I want to go back to you mouthing off at Randy Moss because I actually read something and I thought it was so great where it was you were talking about where you get your cockiness from on the field, and I think you said something along the lines of I learned it from Deion Sanders. That's how I learned how to play arrogant but to back it up.
And I would use the word, I would say confident. Like Deion, a lot of people don't know he was sort of like my mentor. So it was certain players that I actually looked at that I say, okay, to play this game, you got to have this confidence, especially at that position. Have the confidence, but you got to be able to back it up. So I looked at Deion Sanders is one of the best to play the game. Here go another turnover. OJ turned this one over. Now here we go, another turnover. We just stopped them. And I'm like, we got to go back out here again?
Yeah.
Y'all putting us out in vulnerable situations for these guys to
come on,
put
man.
up a score. So to make a long story short, it was like Deion Sanders. I like Aeneas Williams' work ethic. I like Dale Green's longevity. I like Rob Woods' hitting. It was like I wanted to grab certain players and mold myself to be a complete player like a lot of these guys. So I like to steal the attributes. I studied a lot of film in those guys.
Right, yeah.
And how they actually played. But the confidence came from definitely
from prime time.
From prime, yeah. Definitely.
Well, it couldn't have hurt you that you faced Owens and Rice, as you mentioned, 3 times that season. So it's not like, these guys were good, but they weren't any better than those 2 guys.
Yeah, and they can go at any given moment. This
I loved
right
that
here
play.
made me a little nervous. Right here,
look, you're the last line of defense right there. If he gets by you, that's probably a touchdown. Put 6 on the board.
Well, I think if you look at the replay, he could have cut back inside before he ever gets to Ray. They're going to give you a sideline shot. I'm not sure why he stayed wide on this. But
it was a reverse. He went a reverse screenplay, which we never seen this whole play the whole year.
Really?
They never ran that play. So we were like, what in the heck is this? This is something new. So everybody's a little bit confused.
He goes north to south right there.
And people didn't give him the credit how fast he was, even in the short route. He was fucked up your cushion, so we call it fucked up your cushion.
Right.
With strides. Randy, every little bit of 6'4" and running about a 4.2, 4.3 40. There you go, big Griffin. So to stop these guys it was going to be kind of tough because they eventually started to run the ball a little bit more, pound it. And then they started hitting a lot more shorter passes because we were trying to take away all of the deep stuff. away from it, because that's everything
your
you saw.
front seven had to take care of the run game, and because you guys are going to umbrella cover the back end as much as you could, you might have been singled, but you're going to double the other side.
We're going to double the other side, and we just had to live with it. And you can't forget about Jake Reed was the other piece of
good
that
player too.
puzzle, because there's 3 good receivers. And, you just didn't want to give up the big play. We all had our work cut out for us. But by us playing against, like you said, against the 49ers 3 times, and just the way we were playing throughout that whole year, we had each week was almost like a tough matchup.
Right.
But this one right here was just the Rodney Dangerfield of all of them. This was disrespectful from the way they were treating us, the way the media was treating us. Now, I got to say, we didn't get as much coverage at all for the longest.
Okay, here's the thing. When I was doing research on this game and this specifically, even now, knowing how this game ends, it's fascinating to see that everybody looks at it through the lens of the Vikings, not necessarily through y'all's lens of going in there and upsetting this team. That's what's so fascinating to me, is even how history looks back on this game.
Yeah, and that's just because the run that they actually had.
Right.
And Randy Moss set it on fire. I think he set a rookie record for touchdowns.
Sure did.
It revamped.
Monster day on Thanksgiving Day against the Cowboys. Remember that? We lit them up for 3 touchdowns?
3 touchdowns, and it didn't even like they were trying out there. I was like, and we really didn't have a tough schedule like everybody thought. I guess that's probably why, too.
This is a key sequence right here. Atlanta goes 3 and out, and they just gave up a short field touchdown now, and so they could be reeling. This is where the game could have got off the rails.
17-7, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are down 17-7, Ray. The mindset here to try to come in and get a stop, what you're eventually going to do, in fact, you make the play to shut it down to where they have to settle for 3. Tell me about the mindset of the team at this point.
Well, this time I felt like we had to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm so glad that he split a double team right there, too. Right. That was another double team that he actually split, and he just happened to let the ball slip off his fingertips. But we had to be a little bit more aggressive now, because now we done had 2 turnovers in a row.
Oh, look, there you
getting
are.
on against Chris Carter.
Yeah.
He's getting mad. I was like, what else you got to say, Chris? Because Chris was running his mouth, too. So I was talking about his mama and everything, too, while we sitting out there, because a lot of people, thought that this dude's like the big-time Christian. I was like, you know what? I believe in the Lord, too, but you run your mouth a little bit too much, Chris. And he was mad because I literally went around his body to hit the ball. But Chris, he was that it guy. I got to show the respect to who Chris really is. I know he was a GOAT. I know he was a good player, and the reason why Randy Moss was so good was because of Chris.
Right.
He was that possession receiver, and you can go ahead and he can eat you alive with the short catches, but if you let Randy Moss get you, it was like a 2-way street. Which one are you going to actually try to cover? Chris that year had a phenomenal year, too. Nobody really talked about that as much.
Yeah, 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns for Carter. It was kind of dwarfed by what Moss had done with the 19 yards a catch and 17 TDs. Everybody kind of forgot about the other guy, and the other guy's making some plays.
He's making some plays. So we knew at this point that, it's 20-7.
Right.
We knew that we had to get down there, at least try to get something, going. And we didn't want to force it, because we normally wasn't, throughout the whole year, we was not down or playing by, 17 or, point deficit. And that was a little bit unusual. We would normally have control running the football and controlling the game ourselves. We controlled the games a lot during that 98 year.
What's the conversation on the sideline now? Because you're going to go 3 and out again on offense right here. What do you got? Because you guys are reeling a little bit right now. You guys are trying to hold on to the rope.
Yep.
But it's 20-7, and you need something to happen. Now, Chris, they're not going to get it done right here, but so you got to come back out again here in a few minutes and try to get a stop against this offense. It seems like it's hitting stride.
I ain't gonna lie. I was starting to get a little nervous. I was like, maybe they were right for a minute, but I said, the game ain't over till they say the fat lady sing. But at the same time, as you're looking at the scoreboard and they get the ball back with a minute and 13 seconds, and they had one of the more efficient 2-minute offenses in the National Football League that year, it was like, oh, here we go. Okay, how are we going to be able to stop them? Okay, do we try to stop the run? Or are we going to stop Randy? Are we going to stop Chris? So, I'm pretty sure Rich Brooks, he was starting to lose his hair on what he was going to actually call.
Just a great play by Chuck
But
Smith
I tell you what,
sack here.
Chuck, this play right here was huge by Chuck. I mean, getting around the corner, around the edge and swatting at the ball, something that we were doing all year long. I mean, that our front seven, I think we had the most sacks in the National Football League, let alone getting to the quarterback. But we knew that Randall Cunningham had such a long wind up whenever he threw. That whole week, I used to hear Bill Kolar, who was the defensive line coach, swat at the ball, swat. And they were coming around practicing it the whole week, swatting and having a long, because he had a long wind-up. Most quarterbacks can get their ball out kind of quick, but Chuck got around that edge real quick, made a huge play, and that actually helped, kill this drive on this particular.
Oh my goodness, changing the fortune of your team.
100%, because then we're about
in scoring position.
Right, yeah, and we're about to see that one play, one touchdown, and y'all are kind of right back in it with about a minute to go in this game. But look at
your boy hurt.
What happened to you?
I think
they just want to get some airtime.
I think on that particular play, I ended up getting hit. We got running into. I think me and the linebacker ran into each other, and I'm a tough guy. I can't
right? Yeah,
out,
you come back out.
This is a cool sequence right here. You can see Atlanta's going to kind of go by a 3-by-1 here. They got two tight ends in the game. They're going to motion Mathis across. And the Vikings don't really run one guy across, but he plays outside technique, and Matt just goes right between them.
We've been running that
little seam route, little 3-by-1 seam routes up there. Awesome.
Yep. And it was great. They didn't make the necessary adjustment. And T-Mac, T-Mac probably caught maybe 3 to 4 touchdowns off of that same play.
Really?
That whole year, especially like in the red zone. It was a timing route. And you're like, look, nobody, literally they gave him so much space, and you'll see the little movie you give him, right? Got him right there. Like, literally caught Hitchcock off balance, and it was too far for the safety to get over there. Chandler made a great play. And that right there, I was on the sideline. I was hurt, but you best believe I wasn't hurt when I was jumping up and down after we scored. A bunch of us on the sideline, even some of the coaches, we were getting jacked up on the sideline because we were back in this game.
Yeah, no question. A huge moment there to get that takeaway late in the first half and get that score for you.
You talk about, at the beginning we were talking about how loud this place was. Do you remember the loudest moment?
Yes.
What was it?
It was several. It was a bunch, to be honest with you. That first touchdown they scored with Randy.
Yeah.
It was real loud. Later on during the game, they had scored. It was like kind of tough. Maybe I want to say it was at the end of the third quarter when Matthew Hatchett had scored a game when it was like real tight in this game.
I'm not gonna lie, I got a little nervous on that.
I did too. Randy was right there.
Looking back, watching the game, Randy's standing right. He got his hand on that ball. What y'all doing?
Well, because you saw Randy making highlight reel after highlight reel every week off of jump balls like this. And we were all trying to jump up, and I think we were talking about if Randy jumped in the air, somebody cut him at the feet, just in case he do jump, and then somebody else, go up and try to hit the ball. But we all probably were like nervous, like let's not let Randy, out of all people, let's not let him catch the rock.
Right, yeah. Well, now going into halftime, what are you guys thinking in terms of how you're going to come out in the second half, and take us into that locker room? What were the feelings and the thoughts of this team at that point?
Once we got into the locker room, the very first thing that we were saying that we're in the game. We're in the game. This is not as tough as we thought it is. A lot of what was happening during the first half, we were shooting in our foot. We had 2 big-time fumbles, and we were saying that was one of Dan's pet peeves was like, we can't turn over the ball, especially against a team like this, especially during a time like this, to turn over the football. So let's not let, everything that's happening to us, we're doing it to ourselves. Even when they had scored a couple of the touchdowns, it was because of blown assignments. So we were shooting ourselves in the foot. They haven't earned anything. That was what we were saying. We giving up everything. Not that we was losing respect for them, but we were saying we were actually shooting ourselves in the foot. You can't play in a game like this, of this caliber, and win games. Right. And Dan spoken that the whole year. We can't turn over the ball. We got to be more in a plus ratio of, getting turnovers, and we got to just be who we are. And that's what we were saying during halftime. And we knew that we can still play up against. We looked up at the scoreboard and we said, you know what? They not as tough as what everybody think it is. We can go out there and fight.
25 interceptions on the year for this team. This guy right here at 7.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Sure did.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Go, brother.
Well, thank you for joining us for the first half. We're going to come back and we're going to watch the second half with Jamal Anderson. But Ray Buchanan, This has been fun.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
I definitely enjoyed
Thanks, Ray.
it. It was good, bring back good memories, and we did come out on top. But
Don't forget, this is the guy that passed the magic too, man.
yeah, we passed the magic. We got Dirty Bird dances. We got all different types. It was such a good time playing here in Atlanta. Great characters, great coaches, great staff. Can't say nothing about this game right here because this is the game right here that set Atlanta off, and the whole city jumped behind it, and we really built something with that game.
I love it. All right, we're going to get to the second half really soon, but thank you, Ray, so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hometown hero, baby.
Let's go.
Now we have another special guest for you. We are going to be watching the second half of the 1998 NFC Championship with Mr. Jamal Anderson. Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure to be here.
joining us. Honestly,
what a lovely studio.
I know,
what
isn't
a
it
great
nice?
environment, and we get to watch an awesome game and a great memory. So I'm excited.
That's great.
Now, where we left off with Ray Buchanan when
Yep.
he was sitting in your seat, we just watched the first half, and y'all were going into halftime, and he was kind of telling us about the defensive adjustments that
Right.
they were wanting to make. But for this offense, and I know there was only you only had 25 rushing yards in that first half, if I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, no, Minnesota's entire intention coming into the game was to stop me from running the
Exactly.
ball, And so we were so effective in some of the other things that we were trying to do, and one of the things that was so huge for me. I mean, first of all, Chris Chandler was outstanding. I mean,
Turned it on, man.
he was out of sight. And then, but they were coming at us in so many different directions and trying to green dog blitz and showing different things. So we had to make adjustments. One thing that we did realize, I will say this to you, coming into that game, the Vikings had not been in a football game all season. Remember, they were so dominant.
Right.
They were destroying teams. They hadn't been we played the 49ers 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay?
Y'all were,
They beat us the first time. Then it was a dogfight, and then we had to play them in the playoffs.
Right.
We had played the best teams in the conference, and we were in battles. So by the time we were like, be patient. We know they're explosive. We know where we are. We know the crowd is crazy. But what's going to happen if we're right with these guys in the third and fourth
Get
quarter?
him in deep water.
They've never seen it.
Yeah.
They hadn't seen it all year.
Right.
I mean, they destroyed everybody,
Yeah.
And so for us, it was like, as long as can see them, we're comfortable here. We're comfortable here. Our Anderson is going to make the kick.
Yeah. We're going to see.
go.
We're going to see
That's
that
it.
real quickly before we get to the second half because we want to jump into that with you because there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. How big was the takeaway late in the first half that Chuck comes in and gets a strip
huge.
sack,
It was
and then you
huge.
immediately answer with a touchdown?
We had to. We had to because it had gotten to a point. Remember, we started off so well, and then we go out and we score, and then you get to where the Vikings are the Vikings, and it's like boom, boom, boom. We're down 10 points, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You turn your head, and it's like they're already moving the ball. And obviously, Randall Cunningham was amazing that year. I mean, come on. Randy Moss is Randy Moss. Chris Carter's Chris Carter. I think they might have, 4 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah.
Defense, they got Randall on the defensive line, John Randall. So I'm like, this is from top to bottom. Their safeties are outstanding, So this is a great football team, and so we know we're going to be in a battle. And like I said, for us, it was like, where we're going to be in the second half.
Yeah.
We're going to be right here. This is what we're used to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not supposed to be here. You know what I mean?
Sure.
What do we have to lose? Holyfield's on the sideline with us.
You had a team over there.
man.
There you go.
Okay?
Yeah,
The
no.
real deal is over here, baby. I felt like we got to punch his chance.
Yeah. Let's watch this guy punch
I
somebody in the face.
know,
Here
I
we go.
know. Let's do this.
seriously.
Let's get this second half rolling, you guys.
All right, Jam. So the way the game started, you guys
Right.
started in grand fashion.
Right.
12 plays, 76 yards,
Right.
over 6.5 minutes, shove it in the end zone. And then it got a little lean. You got the score at the end of the half. Now the
Right.
Vikings are going to try to flip the script here and regain. So what, is you
Well,
begin
for
to
us,
start
we know that, especially as explosive as this offense is and this team is, both sides of the ball, really, they were scoring on both sides of the ball. We know right now, we can't let them score. Whatever happens, we cannot allow a touchdown. And that's the big thing for us because we cannot get in we were not built for a track meet with the Vikings, okay? That's not what we were built for, okay? And I think that there were exceptional circumstances that took place, although we were excellent throwing the ball and we had 2 guys. I try to remind people all the time because they want to talk about you rushed for this and the other. Terrence and Tony Martin both averaged over 17 yards per catch that season. That's insane. Dave, you know that's insane.
Are you kidding me? Every time I throw it, it's 2 first downs. I mean, come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And Terrence was, I think both of them had double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah.
So so we could do that, but you also just don't want to be in a situation here with the Vikings. And
Tell me about Keith Brooking. Brook was a rookie that year. He was a first-round draft pick.
From Georgia Tech, right?
Let me tell you right now, from training camp on through, like I was kind of trying to bulldog him a little bit. Just, you know how you got to bring him along?
He's a rookie.
But I saw his talent, though. You saw his talent, and you saw what he presented physically. And then also, this guy's like 6'3". Mind you now, Brooking's like 230, but he's running like me. I'm the number 1 running back.
Right.
I can't necessarily outrun him in a foot race. Look at my face when I say this to you. Okay?
Although you were fast and people get credit for.
No, but I mean, I'm like, okay. I said, all right, youngster. Okay. So that's why I knew he was going to be good. But think about also, too, we talking about him, you had Jesse Tuggle, Cornelius Bennett.
Right.
I mean, come on. We had guys who were teaching guys how to be pros. And this guy right here, 100,000 miles an hour on every play. Like, I don't care what the play was. If you dialed up Tim Dwight, I was like, okay. There was a play that we ran for Tim Dwight that's probably just going to come up here shortly.
Oh,
Hands.
there you go.
Hands.
I love that because the something that everybody says when watching you is like, he runs through people, not around people.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time that someone
That was a
maybe
huge
just
first down right there.
Yeah.
We needed that one.
was. You guys are getting
Which is
you're
an interesting
reestablishing
little
field
play.
position.
Oh, this is running by fast. Is that Oxendine?
Yeah.
Tony
Oxendine
Martin.
kind of spell you a little
What
bit.
did I say about those first down?
Well, and Chris, you talked about Chris being sharp. He did a really good job of finding these zones when they decided to play zone. He did a good job. How about you, Timmy Retziger?
Exactly.
You get hosed on this
that was
play.
what you were talking about. That play right there, yeah.
Literally that play. But look how tough he is. But see, here's the thing, though. Terrence Mathis, outstanding. He had an outstanding game. But you see the unselfishness?
Yeah.
Like he's laying out to go make a block for him. Look at Chandler on this play.
I know, right?
Yeah, I don't think they thought they were going to.
But it's the deep sell, though. It's the deep sell. Like, imagine. Like, look at all of these guys on the floor. And that's what it takes. You know what I mean?
Well, it's cool you'd point that out, Jam, because I want to point out a couple things throughout this second half that you do to help this team win the game because they were trying to stop you in the run game.
Oh, for sure. Well, I realized, too, obviously they have a dominant defensive line. They have a Hall of Famer down there. Another guy, Kevin Williams, who's a monster, okay? There's some very, very good players. Oh, my God, that was my least.
What do you think? What are you thinking right there when you see that?
Well,
play?
because I never really go down on plays like that,
Right.
and I saw nothing but the end zone. And so I was like, I looked past him because I was looking at the end zone. You know what I was looking at, Dave? The pylon. Because I was like, this is where we're dancing.
Yeah, touchdown.
I was running right through him. So when he actually got me, I was like in shock.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, I was furious.
Where were you guys mentally right there when Dan decided not to go for it? Because it looked like you lost maybe a yard.
Well,
Were you okay with the field goal there?
Yeah, we were okay with the field goal, but I also think that we felt pretty good. But when you have one of those back and forth drives like that on offense, where it's like you take in a little 6, 7 yards, 12 yards, Tony makes a play. I mean, that was a really good drive for us. So our energy was like we're gonna score.
Yeah.
We're gonna score. And so, but you got to do what you got to do. One thing that we did not do, which I cannot recall the entire season, is having some sort of like actual disagreement with something Dan wanted to do. So it was, if there was anything, it was instant. But we were like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Ultimate trust. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. You guys could be in that
Well, I
spot.
saw a quote from Dan Reeves at one point where he said this was probably one of the most special seasons that he had ever been a part of.
We realized too, because some of us who are we're historians of the game. I feel like we're students of the game.
Mm-hmm.
There was a different energy when he was here and when we were successful here. And then he went through the heart ailment, Rest in peace, Coach Reeves.
This is happening, like a few weeks after this heart surgery.
Remember, we go up to Detroit. We have a huge game to win the division in Detroit. Like, Rich is our
Head guy?
Yeah, Rich is our defensive coordinator, is our head guy, because Dan wasn't even there, you know. So it was a lot.
Well, this was we talked about impressive drive, the way you guys opened this half. This was arguably Minnesota's best drive of the game. I think they put 15 plays, 82 yards, 6 minutes 55, and they go up 10 here. Thought process for you guys now, down 10 late in the third quarter.
Well, like we definitely have to move the ball, and we cannot accept a field goal. Like, you're not going to beat Minnesota if you don't score touchdowns, which is the bottom line. Yeah. That's why it was so big for us to even starting like that. So they already feel like, mind you now, this is like an impenetrable shell in Minnesota. Right. There are no close games in Minnesota. Yeah. If you go down through and look at their schedule that year, they're destroying people in Minnesota. So right now they're like, we got them.
Yeah, they had beaten teams by an average of 23.22 points at home that year.
Yeah, that's and just coming off a 20-point win over the Cardinals in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, we watched that, and I was like, it was like a bye week or whatever. I mean, literally, I couldn't believe how it was shaken down. I was like, we're really going to have this historic season and be like the second seed?
Yeah.
14-2?
Yeah.
Well, that's what's so crazy is kind of as we're looking at this fourth quarter here, you go into this game in the national perspective of this game, and it was something we talked to Ray Buchanan about.
Look at that.
Oh.
I mean, it looks at money.
Well, it's just like you were talking about, Jam. It really may be a lack of respect to a certain extent for you guys.
No doubt.
And Tony ran right behind.
Yeah, and you're looking at the split formation there. So great pickup there by Oxy on the outside. But look at Tony, man. Just money, every route. Water. Yeah. Something happened during the course of this game with Tony Martin. I will never forget. We'll talk about that too when the kick comes up too. But like, the guy was money, literally every time.
See a little chip there by Jam to just give, and that throughout the game. While you're watching this game with us, or with Jamal Anderson here, watch Jamal 32 chip block and help protect. And do everything he can to help this team win this football game.
Yeah, so here for me right now, I'm like, okay, obviously we need to score. Mm-hmm. We're trying to score. But I'm like, even if they're not blocking or not, I'm like, all right, let's get what we can and hold on to the ball and just keep it tight, you know? But we're in a position. Oh, man.
That was the one where I wanted you to get you the ball in the flat. No. Because there's not a guy out there that wanted to take those pads. How big are your shoulder pads?
My shoulder pads were huge. I get that. I get asked that all the time. They're like, man, those shoulder pads you used to wear. I'm like, listen, I'm running the ball, hopefully 30 times this week. Right. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm here for one reason only, to bring the business.
There's not a dude in a purple jersey that wanted Jam out on the edge on that swing ring.
No,
there's not a person on the field.
No, this guy right here though.
Clutch.
Yeah. Classic. A classic team, an outstanding leader, an outstanding teammate. Him and Dan Straczynski, that's just little things. Like, you think about all the things that have to come together to win, to get to the Super Bowl, to win an NFC Championship. We had outstanding kicker in Morton Anderson. Our punter was outstanding, but they were outstanding teammates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know how kickers like kind of come and go type of thing? They were like around us all the time. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's not normal for kickers.
No.
Normally they're off playing video games or something like that.
That's why it's like a different energy, man, when you realize like how many, like all the special things that kind of have to take place for you to have a season like that and to go that far. Then you look back on it and you go, well, that makes sense. We were a very close team. We'd all do things together. I mean, there were sacrifices that are being made here during the course of this game where it's like, oh, I'm not going to get him, but here's Randy. Randy, you got to do what you got to do. And then here goes Kinnears on the other side, you know?
Yeah.
Like people, like Chuck right here. Chuck is our most dominant defensive end. He's going inside on that stunt so he could help his man
free
be free.
His guy. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like doing your job to a level where you have such pride and know that this man has my back too,
right. Yeah, you know? An unselfish mentality of, you know, if they win, it means I win.
Yeah, just like here. It's like, what can I do? I'm not out on a route right there. But if I see a lineman that's in trouble and I'm like, oh, I could chip, just like you said, Dave, I look at the clips and I'm like, I was knocking people out with them chip blocks.
Yeah, no, it was impressive. It's one to see a guy get a chip here or there. You were leveling people the entire game, and we're going to see probably the biggest moment on one of those coming up at the end that helps put us into overtime. But
we're in the middle of this fourth quarter right now, and I know it's 27-20, and you're going through this time period where Minnesota's about to get the ball back.
Right.
For you, was there ever a point in time in that fourth quarter where you were like, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this?
I had such confidence in our defense, and I try to remind people too about this. Like, we led the league in sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the bomb squad. Like Travis Hall, Chuck Smith, Lester Archambault, Shane Durnett. They were monsters. You know what I mean? Like, we led the league in sacks. So we came in feeling like, like we were that team. I'm not gonna lie, we had a chip on our shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, at this point, we're like, okay, we're not thinking like we gotta stop Minnesota to win. We're thinking we got Minnesota where we want them to be.
right,
There you go.
right.
Even though we're punting back to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like our mentality.
Yeah, and you were a team.
Elijah Williams. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We lost to the Jets. I'm gonna tell this story one day because Eli wore a white suit on the plane. He jinxed us.
Oh no. On the plane?
Boils all the way down to the
White suit
haberdashery.
I know,
So
right,
there
yeah.
you go.
You remember the worst game we had that season was against the Jets?
Yeah, 28-3. Life lost that game.
Did you have to say the numbers? All right.
It was the only
numbers we do not mention.
Dude, it was the only game you weren't in.
No, you're right.
It was the
You're
only
right.
game. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
My
He flipped the
lasting
switch.
memory is of that game when Jesse Tuggle went out. I was like, baby, it's over. This was huge right here.
Yeah, Dronette gets the sack, or the
Yeah.
ball comes out, and so you guys get another short field opportunity. You cash the one at the end of the first half.
Right.
This one doesn't go as well as you want it to. How big a moment was this? And then were you guys down when this doesn't doesn't go
You
your
mean
way?
after this turnover here?
Yeah, well, you get the turnover, but
Yes.
then remember, this is where Dan decides to turn down the field goal.
Yeah.
Just a fumble snap.
Yeah. But which is wow, because they were so good that year.
Yeah, you guys were plus 20 in
Rest
giveaway
in peace,
takeaway. I think
Shane
they were plus
Burnett,
14.
Just that guy.
Yeah, no question.
Look at Dwight go.
Look, man, we're running a reverse in the late. This is late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we have 6 minutes and 11 seconds left
I honestly
on the board.
thought Dan was gonna call a pitch pass on me, which I was like, oh, everything was open, man. I'm handing off the reverse to Tim Dwight. I was like, we about to run the pitch pass next. Chi-Chi, the chip block right there. Oh, man. That was a rare. We should have probably got a penalty there.
Yeah, it's close. It's a little bit
You're
light.
talking about this after this where we made that decision, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Oh,
Dan's
Dan
hot.
is
Dan's
mad.
hot.
Listen to me right now. Lucky he's not mic'd up, my guy. Because Dan did not believe in taking the Lord's name in vain, though.
Right.
You couldn't do that even on the practice field.
So here you are down 7. You just had a short field opportunity that's turned away.
Yeah.
And now your defense is trying to rise up here
No, but
to
you
give you
see
another
that-
shot.
Man, that guy right there, too. Fortunately, he did not break free on us too many times because he had an outstanding year. But they were trying to run us down right now, which is smart.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, these guys think it's about to be over. Look at the doses that they're giving us. I didn't even realize Robert Smith got this many carries back to back to back.
Yeah, this is the drive where they kind of got him going a tad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Just
was.
trying
I
to
think this is
bleed
like
the
the only
clock.
drive he had like
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. But you could see that both defenses, even though we were trying to guard against the deep pass,
Right.
that front 7 was locked in on Robert Smith, just
No
like
question.
their front 8 were locked in on you.
No question.
Yeah.
I think that was the key coming in, is you got 2 outstanding backs, and you don't want them to break your back.
What are you kind of sitting here thinking when you're like, all right, we got 3:43 left in this game?
I think we were standing up. We usually are. Well, you're probably going to see me coming up soon if Dan walks by. We usually are sitting like on the opposite side. So what happened when I played with the Falcons is I sat on the defensive bench.
Okay.
I was like the only offensive player that sat over there because my mentality was I'm hitting you. Like, I came here to run through you. So I'm sitting with the defense because that's what the defense does.
I love it.
Like,
I love that mentality.
So like when so I'm over there like listening to all the adjustments and everything that they're talking about, and I felt really good. I was like, okay, I feel like they got a handle on it.
Yeah.
Even as dominant as Minnesota was, I never felt at any point that like we were outmatched or we were out schemed.
Right.
You know?
Now we're coming in on obviously the key moment in the game here, Jam. Did you guys, you know that a field goal is going to put you in a bad spot,
Yeah, no
right?
question
So you're going to
about
be
it.
down 10. Did you know his numbers going into the game that he had not missed a kick all year long?
Yeah. This is the crazy part. This is what I was telling you about Tony. So I'm sitting next to him. I'm actually this time on the offensive side of the bench, and I'm just like, dang. And he said, Jam, it's Murphy's Law. It's Murphy's Law, Jam. Look, he cannot be perfect. And I was like, Arch, I'm like,
Wow.
but he told me he was so confident. He was like, Jam, just look. He's not going to make this kick. And I was like,
I don't know, man.
now listen, look, I'm looking like this.
Dude hadn't missed a kick in 2 years. I mean, are you kidding
Didn't look
me?
at that. He goes,
I promise you that man told me that he was going to miss the kick. And he told me he was like, watch, just watch, because I wasn't going to watch.
Right.
Like, I'm not looking.
I was about to ask if you were going to watch.
No, I'm not watching Gary Anderson put me away. No. And I was just like, oh, my God. Man,
Okay, so tell me the shot of adrenaline that goes through you.
Yeah.
it's crazy. Right away, we're already thinking about what can we do? What can we do? Like, our whole mentality was if we get another chance. And then I was like, oh, man, that drive happens. And that's the one time we were like,
Well, when Jamal talks about team concept, the guys
Right.
doing their watch what Terrence does here to keep me when they get the ball. Watch what T does.
yeah,
Makes a guy miss, gets out
out
of
of
bounds.
bounds.
The dive out of bounds.
Just the little things
Yeah.
he's talking about,
Yeah.
you know.
Understanding the moment and what's needed from each guy.
I don't think people realize, you know, when I talk about look at this man, look at this man.
Chandler just carving him
nice
up,
little
right?
comedies, little
Yo,
post-
like
Yeah.
Ronnie's out here. They don't even know Ronnie's on the roster.
Watch a
Okay.
little post combination here. I know you know this one, Jamal,
Great
but
combo.
watch little combination.
route.
Going to clear the corner. Nobody out there on the little sail route. Unbelievable. Really cool combination.
Yeah. Chandler was so dialed in. You know, look at all of the stuff that's going on. Guys flying by left and right. He was just so set and so ready when we ran out. Once we got the second opportunity, I was like, oh, my guy's gone.
Now, this was one that got away from him. Got a little lucky right there. Got a little lucky right there. I think he got a little bit. So here we
Is
are.
that Robert Griffin? We kind of got lucky he didn't get that too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Arch, I'm out here running routes to save my life. Nobody, no, you know he's not going to me. This man just took off to run. I was like, man, I'm right here.
He
hurt himself,
He damn
too.
near broke his ankle
I
when he
was
hit
like, oh my
stubbed
God.
his toe.
I said earlier a player in this game is the AstroTurf. I know y'all played in that a lot, but I have never seen something as carpeted as that AstroTurf was.
Yeah, I will tell you, this was actually pleasant. If you think about like Vet Stadium, when they had the diamond. I mean, in the beginning, remember we were in the NFC West.
Right.
We played at Candlestick when the Giants and the 49ers shared the stadium.
Right.
So we'd play on the dirt. You know what I mean? Like September, you could count on it, and I was like, okay. By the time we got to Minnesota, it was a walk in the park.
All right, so what's going on in the huddle right here, Jam, as you guys are trying to close in to tie this game?
Well, first of all, when everybody saw when Chris, that whole thing that happened with Chris, and then when he gathered everybody and got back up, we were like, all right, we're good to go. So it's tight, and I know, hold on to the ball.
Well, big moment here because he's decided to bounce it to get the first down. That was a huge move to get outside.
You know what? Literally, like the trust of the line, he was like, hey, if you see me, if the tackle comes down on me, you're going to be able to cut outside of him. And I was like, perfect.
All right, well, there's the chip that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I want you to watch Jamal. We're going to get a replay from it from the end zone. And, Jam, take me through this of what you see because Chris is in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah. And so what I'm trying to do on this play in particular is just to give him like some breathing room and then give him a check down option.
Right.
And in the event somebody's coming off, because guys are flying every direction. So I'm like, I'm not going to free release Arch without putting my shoulder on somebody.
All right, check him out. It's
So,
a play fake.
yeah.
Boom.
Disregards the play fake and takes the guy out
Yeah.
inside. Gives
Well,
Chandler just a little bit more time.
When I saw that move, when he came inside, I was like, okay, I thought I was about to be one-on-one. Calvin did do a good job of recovering, but because I hit him, you know? But look at all of the things that take place to make a play like that happen.
Right.
Being in that heat,
That's so cool.
I laugh at this part of the game all the time because of how long it takes. This seems like the most dramatic extra point because you have the penalty and then
I think the referees low key are like, man, how are we gonna get out of here?
let's finish this game.
Oh, no.
But it really does. And then they're like, we need a new ball. There's so much going on.
Well, see, that's one of the ones,
Dan's all upset.
and quite frankly, this is probably a rule they should change because now they're going to make Atlanta kick the extra point again.
Right, yeah.
Right.
If they're offside, we should be able to decline it. We made the kick and move on. But
Yeah.
they're going to make him reboot it. That's what Dan's talking about here.
Like,
is Dan's
why do we have to re-kick that?
Right.
My
Yes.
guy made it. We're done with it.
Yeah.
But Morton, cold as ice, right?
Literally, man. Literally. The Great Dane.
Okay, so what's going on the sideline, Jamal, with what you guys just went the length of the field
Right.
in the final 2 minutes of the game to tie this
I
game?
might have low-key been mad that Terrence scored before me because I think he got 2 touchdowns in this game.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Me and Terrence had like a touchdown competition all year.
Oh, you won that. You won.
No, but barely. Barely, Arch, barely. I had to score like 17 times. I was like, this guy here, man, Terrence was a monster.
Did you feel like when Morton makes this kick, did it feel like the Metrodome that the air kind of went out of it a little bit?
No, because, listen, we're thinking like on the other sideline, we saw Randy Moss and Chris Carter, and we know that Randall Cunningham can literally throw the ball 80 yards. So it's like not over at all. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So for us, it's like, okay, let's go defense. I know Tim Dwight.
Look at Tim Dwight.
Yeah, and everybody, this is one of those deals where you know that most of the time this works, and I don't think he missed an extra point all year long, but you just, let's make it and get out of here.
Right. It's not like it is now, though. What are they kicking from, like 35 or whatever?
Yeah, now the 33-yard line. Yeah, they move it back to the 20 where the 25-yard line, the ball snapped.
We're about to not have kickoffs anymore, right?
It looks like they may try to steer away from that. Some of the safety features in it. So, okay, so 49 seconds left.
Yeah.
Clearly, you just talked about this game is not over.
Right.
They're
Not even
explosive.
close. Yeah.
I thought this was an impressive sequence for the defense to come out and keep them out of field.
Yeah, and this is something that I always like to remind people of again about, because I feel like sometimes, like, we're the offensive players, and I danced in the end zone. And I danced very well.
I thought you were pretty solid.
Great skin. Thank you. No, but I mean, like, the offensive guys get a lot of credit. We're the showy guys. But this defense was so outstanding and came together on so many levels. We had outstanding play on the quarterback level. We had outstanding play in the safety level. Obviously, Jesse Tull was our linebacker.
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't at this
Cornelius
point,
Bennett, you know what I mean? Chris
Right.
Brookie
Right.
was a rookie, but I'm like, it was just that their communication and the way that they worked all year long, and the way that they had such a clear intent on the type of defense that they were going to be. It's just all of those things, and we were healthy, and so all of those things were tremendous factors in why we were who we were, truly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting too because you talk about who you were, and this Minnesota Vikings team was what they scored the most points in the regular season of any NFL team ever.
I think they set a record.
Set a record, yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
I mean, this is not an offense that was
No.
just going to hang back.
No,
they're
but
an
then
attacking.
remember
offense.
what I was talking about earlier? We're also like, we've been here.
Yeah.
We've had these games.
Did you sense that, Jam, that they were? Was there a little tightness on their side?
Yes,
You think?
but we actually were talking about that. Like, that was something that was a discussion for us. Like, what's going to happen when this thing is, when this thing is tight in the fourth quarter? Like, what's going to happen? Like, we've been there. We definitely didn't want that guy to get loose.
Now, going into this game, did you feel like in terms of like the lead up to it that there was a situation where it was you guys were a little disrespected in
Yeah,
terms
I
of
mean-
how much was taken from this Minnesota Vikings team?
Yeah, we got lucky right there, right?
I'm not gonna lie. I just grinned. I just did that grimace like I did when I watched the game the first time back in '98 or '99. I guess it was
literally the
January.
last person in the whole Metrodome we want to let free.
Well, you got
Randy
him
Moss.
doubled here, and
Yeah.
they let him run by him, which he did to everybody.
Everybody.
this year.
It was a freak.
19 yards of grab. Fortunately, he got a little lost on the route.
I'll be honest, yeah, because if he would have dove into that thing, John Madden right now is going, oh, the Falcons dodged one there. And I'm like, I agree, John.
You're on the sideline.
Thank you, Pat.
This was interesting here. With 30 seconds left, he did not want to give you guys the ball back. Denny Green didn't want you to give the ball back, and so he takes any. That to me almost sense that okay, they don't know how to handle the situation.
Right. Which is, I think when you look at when you see the Vikings talk about this game and like their experience and like the things that happened, it's so like, which I get. I mean, because they were so historically great as an organization and so many things. Like, let's think about the Vikings organization. I mean, like, all right, people could talk about us all day long. How many have they lost? Super Bowls?
Yeah. They're I think they're 0-4. They're 0-5.
Right. And then, but they've had some of the best teams.
No question.
Who haven't even gotten there, you know? So it's like.
Yeah, some of the greatest players that have ever played this game.
Yeah. What did Fran lose? 4?
I think they lost
Fran
4.
and Ahmad.
Yeah,
when he was Bobby
Grant,
Taylor.
Bud Grant.
Yeah.
Now, lose the coin toss here, but I feel like it's probably the same mentality as before. You're just kind of like, all right, defense is going to go out there and get things done.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, this is showtime.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's literally like the number one offense the NFL has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, defense, you're on.
Yeah.
I think one great thing, and you know, you watch it, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, this is a physical game. It kind of seems like that all the time when you could like take clips from Vic's game in Minnesota. They're so weird how they look similar, you know, and the physicality in both of the games. Of course, we're in the same uniforms too.
Yeah.
But our defense, they were so intent.
Outside hard. Gets away from one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know Biscuit was furious. I remember him going, snapping up that he missed him. Leroy Hurd.
That's one you can have fun with the day after, right? You weren't feeling that right
he
there.
Was like, look at Lester. Yeah. Just body on a body on a body.
Yeah, relentless. Those 4 guys up front were
relentless.
Yeah.
Relentless.
Just fun to watch too.
Look, we look at us. We're like, oh, we're used to this frantic mess. The Vikings are like, what is happening? We're tied.
You almost see that, Jam, where they're kind of looking around like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, how many teams had actually played with them that year? No, that's something we talked about.
No, that was actually a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had that aberration game on the road, I think at Tampa, and that was it, right?
Right.
Yeah, this was as close to a team of being perfect as you could get because they were great defensively and really good.
Well, that's what someone said. This is the best team that never won a Super Bowl. Collectively.
Their wide receivers were random
Wait a minute, they
balls.
can't be the greatest team that didn't win the Super Bowl when these guys beat them.
I know.
There's the greatest team.
That's my argument. It's like how can we say that?
But I mean, they got a good.
Pretty good. I hear you.
Listen, when they ran the special on NFL Network, like what is it, Missing Rings or whatever? Lost Rings.
Oh yeah.
Bro, I was like almost crying with them, and I beat them, and I was like,
big play right there by Lester Archambault.
Huge
You've mentioned his name a number of times today, but he gets a bat down there on 3rd down. Watch Lester elevate here. Doesn't get the pass rush, but he does the next best thing.
Yeah, remember he was 2 plays ago the one that stripped the ball from Cunningham too.
And now we're talking 5th quarter now.
Yeah,
right.
The effort you're getting out of these dudes.
Yes, he was all over the field.
Look at Ray Boo coming in there and keeping Moss. He shut Moss down after that PI call. There wasn't nothing.
Ray was outstanding that entire season.
So who on the sideline is kind of keeping everybody up, or were you all up just because of the situation?
Our energy level's pretty high. This was kind of crazy though, because I remember this part of the stadium being so loud when we were coming out, and I was like, okay.
Was this the loudest it got, you think?
I mean, it was pretty. They were pretty tired. They were pretty wired, you know.
Yeah.
This is such a huge moment in the game because Atlanta's deep in their own territory.
Yes.
They come out throwing,
Yes.
and Chris does a really good job of making the proper throws to flip the field, right?
Exactly. Listen, hey, move the chains.
Yeah.
Move the chains. We don't have to get it all right away. We just have to keep moving.
Well, and you were the king of that for this team all year long, and now Now we're going to start seeing Jamal take. That was that
That's the longest run, right?
Literally, probably. Like,
Yeah.
I'm right now going woohoo. I was like, they finally let me go.
They forgot about me. I'm
I've
still
been waiting
here.
4 quarters for this.
I set this draw up so much. Arch, look at me. I was playing it.
Well, look at the vision too to step by because that was probably supposed to be front side and you slid back
You
side.
see 42. He was like, let me let somebody else tackle him.
Here he comes again.
Yeah. See, that's why I be laughing when they're like, you didn't have a great game. I'm like, I had 8 catches in that.
Yeah.
I had huge blocks in that game.
Difference-making plays because this is key. You know, when I talk about Atlanta's not going to score on this, but they're going to flip the field here.
Yeah.
Right.
Huge moment because it'd become a bit of a field position game anyway.
Right.
A fake to Jamal.
But that was one thing. Oh, yeah.
Jerry Ball's big wheel.
That was one thing we worked on now, really. But that was one thing we worked so hard on all year, like the play action stuff.
Yeah.
It was like if we sell it, especially if we were so strong running the ball, it's going to set up so many other things for us. I was mad about that one too. I know. I was like,
Oh, man.
I know.
Chris being a warrior.
Things we never want to see.
Yeah.
He's
It's just
trying
like
to warrior.
everybody's like bleeding in this game.
Yeah,
Y'all are fighting hard.
I'm telling you,
It's a dogfight.
Literally crazy.
What was the moment that you think it got the most heated with some of the guys on the field?
Oh, this extra period was pretty. I mean, you know, this is the 5th quarter,
Right.
as Art said. But you know, everybody's exhausted, but so much is on the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're running off of like adrenaline and
Yeah.
sweat.
And listen to me now, that place was insane. I don't know what the effect is at the new stadium. I don't think it's the same as that one, but that had to be one of the loudest stadiums ever.
Really?
Of all time.
Wow.
Ever.
That you ever played in ever.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, they talk about Kansas City, but it's outside. Kansas City's loud.
Right.
But this was inside. Like, remember the roof came off of this building?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They may have blown that bad boy off.
That's
right?
what I'm trying to tell you.
How would it equate to?
When
You
I
played
was
some of those New Orleans
So I
games.
come out like an hour. Like, I do my own warm-up before the team.
Right.
They were waiting for me in Minnesota. They were like, we here. I was like, I know the fans aren't here to attack me. I swear to God.
An hour before.
They let them in early to harass me.
Oh, man.
And that's why when I scored, I think Ray did the first half, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That first touchdown I scored, I didn't really dance well because I was dancing so hard, Archer. I was like, this is for you.
you were violent.
I was mad.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
That's why I caught that pass, man. I was like, Chandler, I don't care where you throw it, I'm scoring. Dwayne Rudd had great coverage on me, man.
yeah.
It was outstanding.
Well placed ball and a really good catch to secure that
I
first
was
touchdown.
dancing hard on the fans for showing up early.
This is where I thought, and they get a first down here with Chris. I thought that, just from their perspective, Robert had a pretty good late drive, and they kind of forgot about him in the game.
Yeah, we kind of got we got lucky that he didn't become a crazy factor either. Like 6 for 67 is,
Well, you remember he had to leave the game because of initial
Yes.
hordes in the game, and I'm not
Yep.
sure they trusted him like they did Robert
Right.
Smith.
Yeah. Man, 3rd and 10.
I feel like he had a big season too that year.
He did. He had almost 1,200 yards rushing. So
Yeah.
he was about 500.
Wait,
yards
Leroy
behind you.
Horde did?
About 500. Oh, not Leroy Horde, but
Robert
but,
Smith.
Robert.
Oh yeah, Robert Smith. Awesome. Look at this rainbow.
Well, and this was the play that I thought you escaped on because
Yeah.
somehow
Listen.
Eugene let Moss get behind him, and Randall got to him late, right?
Man.
There are a couple with Randy Moss here in the last few minutes that you're just
I feel like we probably were blessed and fortunate to catch him at like rookie season.
Yeah.
Because he still doesn't really know what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like there's
Still
a couple,
young.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
couple plays where he kind of waits a little bit, and like he's making this catch next year,
Yeah.
right.
no question.
Right,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, it's a good play by Eugene.
Yeah, it's a great play by Eugene.
But he's beat. There's no question about it.
All right, y'all get the ball back. And this is it. This is the final drive.
Why can't we? Or, you know what I'm thinking, right? We're also again inside the 10-yard line,
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know the crowd is extra amped up. When you're down there.
Pass protected. 8:28 left in the first overtime period.
And remember too, which is a huge factor. Bobby Christian had been hurt at this point, so Dave Kozlowski is my fullback. basically our wing. So he's been doing the fullback duties this entire time.
Another piece, okay, that play does not happen without Jamal Anderson.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Because they get beat up front. Jamal sees it come out of a play fake. Now, remember, he's trying to play fake, and he still gets the block.
Huge catch by OJ.
Oh, yeah. Big-time throw by Chandler. Now, all of a sudden, you guys are smelling it, aren't you? You smelling it?
Yeah.
Look at you. Were you ready to go after him?
He already saw me, right?
Okay, so you're going to start to take over this thing and get you in field goal. So tell me about, are you smelling it? Are you feeling
already. And then right after that play, I was like looking, and then Terrence has been, like I said, he's outstanding, man. Dude was like, I literally thought he was one of the Sharp brothers when I first got here. When I first got to the Falcons and he got here, we acquired him from the Jets.
Yeah.
I was like, he looks like one of the Sharps.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Sterling and Shannon.
The way he played the game?
Man, please. And how physical he was for his size. You got to remember, Terrence is like 5'9", 5'10"-ish, you know. Like
right, yeah, not a big guy.
We're not talking about Julio Jones,
right.
you know.
Right. Tactician,
And,
give you the dead leg.
And will block his tail off, okay?
Here we
There
go.
you go. Yeah.
Here he comes. Tell me, okay, so you know you're in field goal range now with that run.
Yes.
So what are you thinking now? Ball security, all that stuff?
You see how I'm holding the ball?
You're holding it. There ain't getting.
You would never watch me where I'm like this, and I'm not going to overdo it, but I'm like, hey, man, I know the situation.
Right.
Like, we're not going to try to be pretty here.
Right.
We're just trying to get placement at this point, you know?
All right, take us into this moment. This is it right here.
Yeah, this is it.
What are you thinking?
Well, we're standing all on the sidelines. We really were like, it's over, because we just had such faith in Morton.
Yeah.
Like, really, we had such faith in Morton.
Was there kind of a dream sequence? Like, hey, this is going to happen.
I know, look at Chandler.
Look at Chandler.
Look at Grazi. I just talked to Tony, too, Graziani.
No, you're kind of standing right around Dan Reeves. Is
Yes,
that
I am.
correct? Yeah,
Yes, I
you're like
am.
right behind him.
Yes.
What was he like in that moment?
I think like everybody else, man.
Just
I
like
swear, yeah, because I feel like Joe is probably next to him too. D. Camillus is over there, who is Coach Reeves. He was our special teams coach too. But I'm sure he's over there. But everybody was kind of just waiting to see what happens. Look at these guys, man.
They're shocked.
They know.
They
They're
know.
shocked. They're shocked.
How
You guys shocked the
How are
world.
we here?
You shocked the world right here.
Yeah, really though. They're like, how are we here?
Yeah.
The Vikings and the dome and the noise and
Morton was so good. I mean, Morton, I played against Morton. I mean, he was just nails when he was in New Orleans, and he was nails when he was here.
Yeah.
But still, there's some anxiety flowing through their veins right now, right, Jamal?
And you got to remember too, Gary missed,
Yeah.
and he was perfect.
For 2 years.
Morton's probably like, man, is the field straight?
I love Dan right here.
Yeah.
Look at him.
There
There
he
you
is.
are.
There's Jamal in the back.
I was like,
What was that moment like? Y'all are on the field. Who was the first person that you had to
I
hug?
probably was like nervous because Coach Reeves a little bit.
Because you just had that heart surgery?
Yeah, well, you know, I was like, no, don't bulldog him. That's probably why I was standing back there. Like, look at
You became bodyguard too, huh? You were bodyguard.
I'm thinking, man, I need 25 carries in the Super Bowl.
You know, as we kind of look at that moment and everything, what was that moment like for your career in its totality to play in that game and to have the role that you did there?
You know, I was most proud of the fact that, like, I was a 7th round pick in 1994, but I consider myself like a student of the game. So I was uniquely aware already of the history of the organization before they drafted me. So when they drafted me, they didn't have to tell me who the great players were. They didn't have to tell me the hardships of the organization or some of the crazy things that have happened to the Falcons. So I was just excited for the fans, okay? Like, I could see the faces. I could see on the faces of the people what we were doing. And so for me, I was most, like, it's amazing. Like, you know, it's hard to explain to people. Like, I was trying to show my kids, like, a video of, like, you know, like 10,000 people coming to the airport.
Right.
Like, when we were going to the Super Bowl, they had a parade. Like, what?
Yeah.
On our way?
Yeah.
We lost. Who cares? Yay!
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
taking a step. So for me, it was like, somebody who, I consider myself like connected to the fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I could just see, like, I was like, man, I was happy for us, but I was so much more happy for the fans.
Yeah.
Because they had been through so much.
Yeah.
And it was like, they were so proud of what we were doing and who we were and what we meant to the city,
Yeah.
Dude,
So-
there was nobody more connected to the fans than you were.
I appreciate it, man. And I took a tremendous amount of pride in that. And I feel like, for me, regardless if you were a guy that was on the scout team or if you were a star, you sat at my table and ate dinner with me. And I think that kind of stuff, like, mattered across the board to how we were able to be successful, So it wasn't just Michael Vick coming to my house. It was the guy who was a free agent quarterback too.
Sure.
You feel me?
Yeah.
It was like, we all gonna break bread together because this is what the team is, So it was amazing. And it was, I wish we would have won the Super Bowl and things would have worked out better for us. But just the run itself and the look on the faces of the people and how much it mattered to them that we were good.
Yeah.
So
Are you able to look back at what you did that season, because it's the record for the team,
Right.
and I know records not necessarily are not at the top of the level for you, but that was an all-time season for a running back in an Atlanta Falcon uniform.
Yeah, I mean, I was. It's crazy because I was really excited with June's offense. Loved the run and shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I would have been Edgerrin James in that thing if I would have played in it for, say, 10 years. But when Dan came, there was a process for us. I think there was a documentary I did, and I was like, those success happened right away. I don't mean it like that. Like, we didn't win games right away. But we had got a better understanding of what we were going to be and how we were going to do it. And in 97, if you remember, we were 1-7 the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Remember, I hurt my ankle in Detroit. And I was kind of like hobbling. We had hand sparred. Then the second half of the season, I went off and we went on a run.
Fire, yeah.
Remember, we went to Arizona. We were almost the first team in history to go from 1-7 to 7-1, and we lost to Jake the Snake. You probably were broadcasting that game.
No, I didn't do that one, but I was
Okay.
watching that game. I remember the game specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is what I try to remind people is like, yes, 98 was fantastic, but that team was there in 97. In the second half of the season we were very hard to beat.
Yeah.
So we really, if you look at the second half of 97 through 98, we're 20-2 or whatever. Like, we're not playing.
Right.
You know what I
the
mean?
foundation was laid before we ever even got there.
Yes.
410 carries
Crazy.
for 1,846 yards
Yeah.
and 16 touchdowns. Unbelievable. dude.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was it's crazy. And I will credit my guys too. The line was amazing. It mattered so much for them, like, to see me get away and break free. And it was crazy. They'd be like, all right, let's go. I'm ready if you're ready. And then again, having two wide receivers to do what Terrence and Tony did, and then OJ was a freakish talent at the tight end position as a rookie.
Right.
It was just like everything, like, boom, everything I needed to fall in line for me to do what I did was perfect,
Yeah. Well,
Dude, honor to sit here with
yeah,
you.
My pleasure,
honestly,
man.
thank you so much for joining us as we kind of take a look back at the 1998 NFC Championship. It was a fun one, but thank you guys so much for Jamal Anderson, Dave Archer, Ray Buchanan. I'm Tori McElhaney, and this was a fun one, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.